With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. Did I tell you or did I not tell you? I'd be back if I got more news, man. Come on now, would I ever lie to you guys? Never. So, things are becoming much more crystallized. All right, so John Commons reported that the Redskins haven't released Josh Doctson just yet. They're still waiting to see if they can trade him. They're not going to be able to trade him because everyone knows they're going to release him. So I don't think they're getting a trade. They're going to have to end up cutting bait with Josh Doctson. Nonetheless, a lot more news has come out. Cam Sims has been released. I kept thinking they were going to keep Cam Sims. I still think they're going to try to get him onto the IR, but we'll see what happens. But he's reportedly been released. Adonis Alexander, I told you I didn't think he was going to make the roster. He's been banged up all preseason long, all training camp. That was pretty much the nail in the coffin for him. The best ability is availability. He hadn't been available, and he hasn't shown what they thought they were going to get when they spent a supplemental draft pick on him in the 6th round a couple of years ago. So thought he was going to get cut, and he did. He didn't show out in the final preseason game like he needed to solidify a roster spot. So he's gone as well. Jeremy Reeves, a guy that a lot of you liked, I liked as well, but I told you he's not making the team over Troy Apke. I already told you guys that. A lot of you didn't want to hear that. Hey, I'm just coming with the reals. So Jeremy Reeves is a guy that they would love to put on the practice squad, though, and I think he deserves to be on the practice squad. And I told you I think he's going to end up on the practice squad if someone else doesn't snatch him up. But he's another guy that did not make the roster. As the Redskins continue to whittle down this roster to 53 guys, it's becoming more abundantly clear that both Steven Sims and Robert Davis are going to make this football team. The Redskins are keeping 6 receivers. I told you Kelvin Harmon isn't getting cut. So when you look at it, it's Trey Quinn, it's Terry McLaurin, it's Paul Richardson, it's Kelvin Harmon. Those 4 are locks, all right, to me. And so now I told you that it was 2 for 3. I thought it was going to be 2 for 1 because I thought Cam Sims was going to make the football team if they didn't cut him with an injury designation. I still think they're going to try to get him onto this team via practice squad or IR. But in any event, you look at now a situation where both Steven Sims and Robert Davis end up on this football team, and I think that's the right thing to do. I think those guys deserve to be here, not only because of what I think they can bring to the table as receivers. I also think that those are 2 of your better special teams players, especially Robert Davis as a gunner. He's probably, if you're not going to keep, and I don't know, don't count out J.U. Chesson. I don't think he's going to make the team, but he's by far and away the Redskins' best special teams player. If you're talking about the next guy down, I think that's Robert Davis. So I think they look at Davis, what he brings to the table from a receiver standpoint, but more so as a gunner on special teams and what he brings to the table there. And then Steven Sims, as I mentioned, you don't have a backup option to Trey Quinn. That's huge. You don't have a true punt returner or a kick returner. That's huge. And oh, by the way, I think this guy can help you at receiver as well. So I think it's looking like those 6 guys are going to be your 6 receivers. But the Redskins, it looks like Byron Marshall's going to make this football team. Remember, I said I don't really care to see Byron Marshall here, but I think Jay's going to do that because Jay has an infatuation with Byron Marshall, has had one since the Redskins signed him from the Eagles. And I think they're going to keep Byron Marshall as the backup to Chris Thompson. He's always talked about Byron Marshall being a more comparable backup to Chris Thompson if something were to happen to Thompson. I will admit, because I didn't want to see him here, but I will admit Byron Marshall got a lot better in pass pro over the last 3 preseason games. I saw the maturation from him. Remember, he was the guy in the game last year. I believe it was him. Don't quote me on this. But I believe it was him who was in the game that missed the assignment that got Alex Smith hit and ultimately hurt versus the Houston Texans. I believe it was Byron Marshall who missed that assignment. But throughout this preseason, he's done a bang-up job of picking up guys, getting a piece. It's not always the prettiest with him, but if you get the job done, that's all anyone cares about, and he's gotten better in pass pro, and I think that's another reason they feel confident and keeping him on this roster. Not in addition to his ability to catch it, and I actually was somewhat impressed with his ability to run in between the tackles this preseason as well. But again, I didn't think he was worthy of a roster spot. But I'm not going to get bent out of shape over Byron Marshall making the football team because, again, Bryce Love is on the horizon. And so if it's not this year, next year, Byron Marshall won't be here because Bryce Love will, unless Chris Thompson isn't here. Bryce Love takes Chris Thompson's place, and Byron Marshall remains as the Redskins backup to your third down option. We'll see what happens. I don't want to start projecting down the road. We're still trying to fill out the 53-man roster for this year. So right now, that's what we know. Adonis Alexander gone. Jeremy Reeves gone. Cam Sims gone. Josh Doxson, the Redskins are holding on to him to try to trade him, but he's probably not going to get traded. Gone. Samaje Perine, gone. All right, these are all guys that we knew were teetering, but thought that the Redskins might keep them. Those guys are out, and more news is coming. I'll continue to come to you as often as I can with more news, but let's see if anything else has happened. Redskins are going to keep running back Shawn Wilson per a source. This is via JP Finley. He says, interesting move. They will put him on IR. Did the same thing last year with Byron Marshall. That means 5 running backs on the original 53-man roster. So a lot of people were impressed with Shawn Wilson. Remember, this was very telling. Remember I said, why do they keep putting Shawn Wilson back on punts if he's not going to make the 53? Remember I kept saying that? I said that the entire first and into the second game. Remember he got hurt the second game of the preseason versus Cincinnati. So why are they continuing to hold on to this guy if he's not going to make the roster? Well, now you know the answer. They were planning on holding on to Shawn Wilson, and they're going to do that, so he's going to be a part of the 53-man roster. But I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. I may be back later. Don't know. I'm about to leave the house, so I may not be back, but we'll see. If something major happens, then you'll probably see this face all up in your space. But in the meantime, enjoy your weekend. Have a good one.
Network.